Nice to see you all, guys. So my name is Gediminas, and this evening I wanted to share with you about duplication. So duplication is super important in network marketing business because that's when your business starts growing, right? People in your team start copying what you do, and their people start copying what they do, and so on and so on and so on. If you are the only person working in your team, then there is no duplication in your business, right? So that's not an ideal way of building the business. Obviously, you want your business to grow, expand, more people to join your team, etc. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and pop this on here. So what do we do first of all in network marketing, right? So first thing we do, we sell products. Second thing we do, we recruit people into our team, right? So these are the two things that most people do, and the only two things that most people do. And if you do these two things, it's okay. There's nothing bad about it. But this way, you don't really have a business. What you have is a job. But then there's two more things that we do. Third thing we do is we duplicate the process. That's when you start doing the business. Because if you're the only person who's selling the products, if you're the only person who's recruiting people, then you just have a job, you don't really have a business. But when you start duplicating that process, when other people in your team start recruiting and selling, that's when you start building a business. And then finally, we lead our teams. Right. So when we lead our teams, again, that's a business, right? When we already have leaders who developed where they are independent and we're just leading those teams. So these are the four things we do. The first two would be a job, right? And the next two would be the business, right? So of course we want to build the business. We don't want to be in the job. So the duplication is basically the journey from dependence to independence, right? Which means from you being depending on your own hours and on your own work, you become an independent person because you get paid for the whole team, for the whole organization, right? And it's very important to understand that that is not an automatic process, which means your business will not duplicate by itself. You have to basically use the things that you need to use in order to make it duplicatable. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today, right? Now, unfortunately, some leaders, they experience what is called separation anxiety, right? They got so used to their team members asking for help and then being a mother hen. When their leaders become independent, they start feeling anxious, right? That, oh, they don't need me anymore. And that's where a lot of people sabotage their business, because they want their people to keep depending on them, to keep asking questions, etc. But actually, your goal is to become irrelevant. Your goal is to build such a successful team and such great leaders that they don't even need you anymore. That's the perfect team, right? And when a new person joins a business, it's a good time to ask them, to say, hey, look, Melanie, my goal is to help you to become independent from me as quickly as possible. How long would you like that to take, right? How quickly would you like to become independent from me? And a person will tell you, right? Well, 3 months or 6 months or a year. Awesome. Now you've got a goal to go for, right? And next step, then make a plan. So first of all, ask them, how quickly would you like to become independent from me, right? And then let's make a plan, right? A game plan. So how are we going to make this happen, right? How is this going to work, right? How am I going to help you to become independent? What do you need to do? What do you need to learn? What do you need to achieve in order for you to be independent from me, right? So let's look at duplication. How can we make this duplication happen in a business? Well, first of all, it's a good thing to use third-party tools. What does that mean? If you are the thing in your business, then it will be very difficult to achieve duplication. That means if you're doing all the presentations, if you're doing all the trainings, if you basically motivating everybody, supporting everybody, and so on and so on and so on, if you are the business, then it's very difficult to duplicate that. because not everybody will have your personality, not everybody will have your charisma, not everybody will be able to train like you train or do presentations like you do presentations and so on, right? But when you use tools, that's when it becomes duplicatable, right? What does that mean? Now, people can copy your tools, right? People can duplicate using the tool. So let's say you do the presentation by yourself all the time, then you have to be there to do the presentations, right? Nobody can have a presentation if you don't come and do the presentation. But if you're using a video, a tool, now anybody in your team can use that video. Anybody in your team can forward the video, send it to other people, and use that tool, right? So using third-party tools helps your business to become duplicatable. The second step to having duplication in your business is tell, show, try, do, right? So you tell somebody what to do, then you show them how to do it, then you let them try do it, and then they basically do it by themselves. So let's say I've got somebody in my team that I want to teach how to do presentation. So most people make a mistake, most leaders make a mistake where they just say, okay, well, what you need to do is do this, that, and the other. And they just tell the person and that's it. A lot more effective way and a lot more efficient way would be to tell a person, okay, Melanie, this is how you do the presentation. And I tell her. Then I say, okay, so for the next 3 presentations or 5 presentations, you get me on every time you've got somebody who you want to see the presentation. You get me on and I do the presentation. Basically, I show you how to do the presentation. And then, you learn by observing it. Then third step is I let you try do it, right? So maybe 4th or 5th presentation, you do the presentation, but I'm there to catch you if you fall. I'm there to support you. So if something happens and you don't know what to say or whatever, I'll chip in and I'll help you. But you do so I let you try doing the presentation. And once I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4 times you doing the presentation, and I'm happy that you actually know how to do it, then I just let you do it. So that's the process of tell, show, try, do. And you could use this process in demonstrations, in presentations, in trainings, and whatever, right? Any activity in business, you could do tell, show, try, do, right? So you tell somebody how to do it, you show them how it's done, you let them try while you're watching them do it, and then they do it by themselves. And the third is an acronym, ACTS, right? So what does that stand for? Well, the first letter stands for assignments, right? So it's basically tasks that you give to people. And again, you have to understand, where does this come from? Well, this comes from the fact that most people are coming into network marketing from a job, right? They come in from a job and they want to get instructions, right? Because most people in the job, they got told what to do, right? They had instructions, but when they come to business, they just get told, well, you'll figure it out, right? You'll know what to do. Well, no, I don't know what to do, right? So that's why assignments really help. And assignments also show if a person is committed. It shows if a person has the desire, if they're hungry, right? It shows if a person is willing to do the work, right? And it shows if a person is coachable, right? Because very often we know that in order for somebody to become a leader, they have to be coachable, right? They have to be willing to do the work, and they have to have the desire or the hunger. But people say, well, how will I know? How will I know which team members have the desire? How will I know which team members are coachable? By giving them assignments. Because if somebody contacts me, if Tracy contacts me and says, hey, what do I need to do to get this and that? And I say, okay, well, what you need to do is this, that, and that. And I give her an assignment and she doesn't do it, then I know she's not coachable. But if I give her an assignment and she does it, I know she's coachable because she's following instruction, right? So this is how you test your team members by giving them assignments, and you know if that person actually is hungry, if they want to get result, or they don't, right? So assignments really, really help in that respect, right? So like Eric Warrior, my mentor, says, never give, always trade. So instead of giving your time to a person, you might trade it. Say, well, you do this, that, and the other, and then I can have a coaching session with you. You do this, that, and the other, and then I can show you how that works, right? So you give, and again, you're not telling them to go and mow your lawn or do your laundry, right? You're telling them to do something that's going to help their business, right? You say, look, send 20 messages, get back to me, and then we'll have a look at that thing, right? So you're giving them a task to do, but that task is going to obviously help them make more money, right? The second step in this process here, the second letter is campaigns. So campaigns are like a shorter strategies, right? So strategies or systems are long-term things, right, that you will use for years. But campaigns are a little short-term things that gets your team excited, right? So usually they are between 7 days and 14 days, right? So they are short-term things that sort of refreshes it for your team members, right? So what sort of campaigns you could have? Well, you could have a campaign around new product. Right? So let's say a company releases a new product, you could have a campaign around that. You could say, well, hey gang, what we're going to do this week, we're just going to really focus on this product, and we're going to do stories about it. We're going to do Facebook Lives about it. We're going to do written posts about it. We're going to share pictures about it. Basically, we're just going to talk about this one new product all week so that we can sell the crap out of it, right? That's a campaign, right? It gets your team focused on something. It gets them excited. It gets them curious about something, right? It could be around sampling, right? Using some sort of a sample, sending it out or giving it into people's hands to try, right? Something like get 7 in 7, right? Like get 7 customers in the next 7 days, or get 7 team members in the next 7 days. And it doesn't have to be 7 and 7. It could be 8 and 9 or whatever, right? You figured it out, right? It doesn't just a concept, right? But again, it gives them a goal to go for. It gives them a target to shoot for, right? It just sort of wakes them up out of sleeping if they are, because sometimes those long-term strategies, they get a bit boring, they get a bit tired. So these type of campaigns refreshes it, right? Some sort of a competition, right, to get them a bit excited, right? Or something to do with recognition, right? So who's going to be this week's champion? Who's going to be this week's sales queen? Who's going to be this week's recruitment, beast or whatever, right? So you get them to compete, you get them to go for something for the recognition. That could be a campaign, right? It could be around holidays, right, or other events, right? So maybe around Christmas, around Easter, around Mother's Day, around Valentine's Day, around Women's Day, etc. Right? Like how many? Like best thing to look at is look at sofa companies. Like, did you realize that in UK you cannot buy a sofa at the full price? Because there's always an offer, right? There's always a deal. There's always a sale. Like I've been in this country for 15 years. I've never seen, sofa at a full price. There's always some sort. They know they use every single excuse to make a sale, right? Oh, it's Father's Day sale. Oh, it's this sale. So could you do a campaign with your team around some sort of a celebration, around some sort of a holiday or something, right? Income-based campaigns, right? So it could be an income-based campaign. Let's make let's make sure that everybody makes £100 this week, right? And everybody goes for that goal. Everybody goes for that particular income. Rank-based campaign, right? Like to reach a certain level. Let's go get all of our new guys to hit this level or that level, etc. Right? So again, you focus on that. Customers or recruits, right? Again, so a campaign could be based around recruiting or around selling, around getting a certain number of customers or whatever, right? It could be based around charity, right? Like you've seen these bike rides and charity runs and all of that. Could you do something like that? Like, let's focus on helping this charity out, and for the next 2 weeks, everything we sell will donate 10% to this particular charity, right? And then your team members, they go out and they tell everybody, every single customer, that, hey, if you buy something from me for the next 2 weeks, 10% of that is going to go to cancer research or to this or the other, right? Whatever, you choose the charity and things like that, right? Again, it's just a campaign around that to refresh, to make it interesting, right? Compensation plan, right? So something around a compensation plan again. It could be an incentive, it could be a promotion or whatever, right? Like focus a campaign around that. So there's many different ways how you can do campaigns that will get people excited, that will get people curious, that will get people interested in just doing something, right? And some people will come out of the out of inactivity just because there's an interesting campaign going on, right? Okay, so that's the first 2 letters, right? A and C. The third letter is T, and that stands for tools, right? So again, what sort of tools could you use in order to create more duplication? And again, we're still on duplication, guys, right? So what do these campaigns help you to do? To duplicate the process. If you give them a track to run on, if you give them an idea to work on for the next 7 days, that creates a duplication that the whole of your team can keep passing on to their team members and their team members and their team members. That creates more duplication, right? So the next thing is tools. And what sort of tools, again, you could use to create more duplication? Because if you give a tool into somebody's hands, now they can use that tool in order to build a business. But if your business is based on your charisma, on your personality, on your, bubbly character, that's not duplicatable. Not everybody is going to be like you. So if the whole of your strategy is, your personality, then that's very difficult to duplicate. But if your strategy is based on a tool, that's a lot easier. So what sort of tools you could use? Well, a Zoom call could be a tool. Like this Zoom, for example, is a tool. You can actually invite your team members onto the Zoom and they can get trained. So you don't have to train them, right? It makes your life easier. It does the job for you, right? A website could be a tool. A sizzle call, whether on Zoom or Skype or WhatsApp or whatever, right? A video can be a tool. One of my favorite tools, right? A brochure, right? A product is a tool. A webinar could be a tool. Upline leader is also a tool, right? If your leader is doing a call or running a sort of event or whatever, that's a tool for you to plug in. A blog, a podcast, an audio message, right? A Facebook group, right? That can be a tool. A book could be a tool. Email could be a tool, and many, many, many other different things could be tools, right? So basically, that helps you again to think, and doesn't mean that you have to use all the tools now. Oh my gosh, I have to use all these 13 tools with my team. No, start with one that works for you, and then go, what other tool could we use? What other tool could we use? The more tools you give to your team members, the more you equip them to get success in business, because now they have all of this ammunition to use in their business, right? So they've got tools. They don't just go, well, I wish I was so amazing as Tanisha. I wish I was so beautiful as Tracy. I wish I was so amazing as Melanie, right? No, because they just go, well, I can use that tool. She showed me that video. I can show a video to other people. She sent me an email. I could send an email to other people. She sent me this message. I could send that message to other people. Tools are more duplicatable, right? And you can scale through tools, right? Like if you send 20 messages today with your team and you get a certain result, cool. What could happen if we send 200 messages? What could happen if we send 2,000 messages, right? So it's completely scalable. You are not scalable. If you are the tool, if let's say you do amazing presentation or you do amazing training, well, you only have 24 hours in a day. So there's only so much you could do by yourself, and you're not scalable, right? You can't, do 50 presentations in a day because there's just not enough hours. But a tool is scalable. If you created a video, how many people could send that video? 10 people could send that video, 100 people could send the video, 1,000, 10,000, a million people could send the video, right? It's 100% scalable. So tools are a lot more scalable than personality, right? And that helps you, because if you want to build a huge team, you want to build it scalable, right? Okay, and then the last letter in our little formula in ACT is S, right? So S stands for systems, right? So systems, again, extremely important, right? Because again, a system can be duplicatable. That's why, large businesses, they have systems, so that even if you sell the company, somebody buys that company, they can run the company. How? Because there's a system. The whole system is clear. It's on paper, and somebody can buy a company and continue running it, right? Because they don't need the owner to be there. They don't need the creator to be there, because the system is on paper, right? So when is it a successful system? Well, a system is successful if everybody knows it, right? So everybody in the team knows it. Everybody does it. And it works, right? That's a successful system, right? If everybody knows it, everybody does it, and it works. And also, a successful system is that is a simple system, right? So if a new person joins your team, I'm not talking about somebody who's got years and years of experience in network marketing, they've done loads of sales, etc. No. A brand new person joins your business, completely clueless. They've never done network marketing before, but they look at your system and they say, this looks simple. this looks like it will work, and it looks like I can do it. That's a successful system. If a new person joins your business and looks at your system and says, hey, this looks simple, this looks like it's going to work, and this looks like I can do it, they will use it. Otherwise, people won't even use your system, because people want to run a race that they know that they can't finish. So if they join your business and they look at your system and they go, oh, this looks complicated. Oh, I don't think this is going to work for sure. I can't do it. Then it's game over. They won't even try, right? So what sort of systems should you have in your business, right? Well, different system, basically any activity in your business, you can develop a system around it. And like my mentor, Rick Warren says, a system should be an A4 piece of paper, right? Well, this virtual background is not letting me do it, but a page of A4 paper, right? That's what your system should be on. So your system for getting customers shouldn't be 67 page long book, right? Because somebody will look at it and go, oh, that's too complicated. I couldn't do that. So it has to be super simple, super easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Simple system, right? So what sort of system should you have? Customer acquisition, right? How do you get customers in your business? Customer retention or onboarding, right? So how do you get a customer started, and how do you retain this customer so they keep coming back to you? Distributor acquisition, right? So how do you get distributors into your business? How do you recruit people? Is there a system around it, or everybody does a different thing, right? And then distributor retention, onboarding, right? So how do you get a new person started in the business, and how do you keep them in the business, right? How do you get them, to stay in the business and not quit? Core rank system, right? So how do you get people to start making $3 to £500 a month, so they get a bit more stable? Because if somebody's not making any money in a business, they're not very committed. They haven't got much to lose. But they say once a person makes around £300 a month, the chances of them staying in business increase dramatically. So you want to get your new team members making at least £300 a month as fast as possible, so you retain as many of them as possible. Personal development. What's the system around that? Do you have a system around developing your people? Do you have a system around people getting training consistently, right? Like this Zoom call is part of our personal development system. A way for me to ensure that my team members get some personal development is to do this call, right? And I can share some ideas with you. That's a part of a system to get you guys some personal development, right? Skill-based training system, right? How do you develop skills, right? Like finding people, inviting people, presenting business, etc. How do you develop your team member skills? Is there a system, or is it different for every single person that joins your team? Because if it's different, then your team members can't copy it, right? Communication, right? What's the communication system? How do you communicate with your team? How do you pass the information on to them, right? What channels? What's the system, right? If a new team member joins, do you have a system to tell them, well, when you recruit somebody, this is where you need to connect these people. This is where they have to be in order for us to be able to communicate with them, right? Recognition system and appreciation, right? Do you have a system for recognizing people when they reach levels, when they earn income, etc.? Is there a way to recognize them, right? Is there a system behind it? Or some people get recognized and other people get left behind and forgotten, right? Event promotion. Do you have an event promotion system, right? How do you get people to attend events? How do you get as many people as possible into the trainings? And finally, leadership development, right? Do you have a system to develop leaders in your team? How does it work? How do people get to become leaders in your team, right? There should be a system, right? So these are the systems and these are the ways for having more duplication in your business. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you found it useful and will be able to use in your business. Do what we with Irina call inventorization, right? Like sit down and think through these things. Do I have this thing in my team? Do I have this thing in my team? Do I know, like, maybe I don't even know how to do this thing, right? So have a think about this and think, where do you need to work on in your business? What do you need to improve in your business when you're looking at these things?